I just want to make sure I'm on. This is going slowly. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to Chia's Tips at 3. My name is Jenny, and I'm going to be talking about building character. I don't know about you, but for our home, it kind of feels like we're in a pressure pot, being home all the time, every day with the same people, or an instant pot. There's some things that fare very well in under pressure, things like stew meat, things that don't fare as well, like egg noodles. Found that one out the hard way. And I think being in this type of pressure day in and day out, I've often looked at my children on several occasions and thought to myself, in the words of Cyndi Lauper, I see your true colors shining through, and they're not beautiful like a rainbow. But we're working on that. So I wanted to talk to you about building character and what that might look like, and some tips and resources that you can use in your own homes and families. So what is character? C.S. Lewis says, surely what a man does when he is taken off his guard is the best evidence of what sort of man he is. It's those moments where we're not expecting anybody to see us. Sometimes it's just those moments when we're around the people we're most comfortable with, where our character really shines through. So I want to talk about, the foundation of character. Character is not built in a moment or a day. It's built over time. It's also not lost in a moment or a day. So I guess I'm going to share this with the caveat that sometimes we have bad days. Our children can have bad days even though they have good character. So remember that and show some patience and grace. But if you're noticing consistency in your children's character and it's not good, here are some things I would encourage you to work on. And these tips come from people, women and men much wiser than me, that have shared these nuggets of wisdom. So the first one is really, it's just getting in the Word. Encourage your children to read their Bible. I think that when we teach our children to value the Word, their character will naturally be better for it, because we're constantly going back to the ultimate moral standard. We were actually encouraged by our pastor and his wife to consider paying our children to read the Bible. Now we do Bible studies. Our girls are in Awana. But to read the Word on their own, they're 10 and 11, and they're capable of doing that. We pay them to pull out their Bible and read it. They currently are reading it to each other. Some might call it bribery. We call it an investment in our children. So get your kids in the Word and valuing God's Word. In L.B. Cowman's devotional, Streams in the Desert, it says, he that is mastered by Christ is the master of every circumstance. Does the circumstance press hard against you? Do not push it away. It is the potter's hand. Your mastery will come not by arresting its progress, but by enduring its discipline, for it is not only shaping you into a vessel of beauty and honor, but it is making your resources available. And sometimes I think that we feel that pressure, those moments that our character might be strengthened, but we shy away from them just because we don't like it, how uncomfortable it makes us. I tell my girls all the time, hard things are hard, but hard things are not always bad. So the next thing I would suggest is help your children to constantly think of other people. Help invite your children into serving opportunities, whether that's in your home. And right now, that's probably where it's going to be. Help, give them suggestions or invite them into opportunities where they can serve other people, especially when they're not going to get any credit. I was just at a homeschool moms retreat in January, and we had a lovely speaker, a good friend of mine, Maggie Johnson, and she recommended an idea that our family's trying to implement. I'm hoping habit makes perfect. But she encouraged everyone to create an "I did it because I love you" heart or sign. And this is something that you can use, teach your children, you can model, do something for somebody in your family just because you love them. Leave the heart, but try not to let them know who it was. So this is a secret way to help us, build our character and think of others. One of the things we've been talking to our girls about lately is dying to ourselves. That's the last thing that Jesus did before he, resurrected. He died to himself, and he died to himself for us. And guarantee nothing that we do on earth, dying to ourselves, will be harder than that, right? So then another suggestion is to introduce your children to other men and women of character. And you can do this now by reading really good books, and good books that introduce good character. My husband's currently reading The Lord of the Rings to our girls, and no better friend are you going to find than Samwise Gamgee, right? We love Lamplighter Publishing does a fantastic series of books for all ages that really devote, the Lamplighter devotes themselves to finding books that demonstrate really good character. One I want to introduce you guys to is called Sanji's Seed. Sanji's Seed. Sorry, I'm going to mispronounce it, but I'll give you a quick premise of the book. The king, the ruler, is needing somebody to succeed him, and so he invites all the little boys of the village to come, and he gives them all a seed, and he tells them to take the best care of the seed that they can. And so all the boys go and they plant their seed, and their goal is to just grow the biggest, most beautiful plant or flower that they can. And Sanji's seed just won't grow. And when they return to show their seeds to the king, he's the only one that doesn't have a plant. And plot twist, all the boys were given dead seeds. And so his character was revealed when he came back and showed his honest work in trying to revive a dead seed. One of the books that you can read with your kids that we've loved is the Children's Book of Virtues. This is full of short stories and poems that just reinforce really good character. And in fact, the whole book is themed by different virtues that you might be trying to build in you or your children. Another book, this is for the parents, Parenting with Scripture. This is when you find those moments where your child is angry or selfish or whatever it is, and you really want to refer back to what does the God say about handling this type of feeling or reaction. You just grab this, and it's a great resource for parents who are trying to disciple their children into just pursuing godly character. And then the last book is a resource for parents that I have just fallen in love with. This is called Hannah Knows Best. This was actually written by my pastor's wife, Brenda McClure, and it's based off of Hannah and her journey raising Samuel. And it's a fantastic resource for parents who are trying to raise children that love the Lord, and especially raising children in a way that's maybe countercultural to the way our society tells us to raise our children right now. So those are a few resources. So jumping back to introducing your kids to heroes, find books that introduce a hero with amazing character. And depending on the age of your kids, you'll find different books. But that's one way to help develop character in your children. All right, the next one is, actually the next two are really hard. They're hard for parents. One is to let your children face giants. And all of our giants are going to be a little bit different. They can be mental or physical or emotional. My daughter struggles with one of my daughters struggles with a medical condition that has been really hard for our family at times. And one of the things we've had to learn to do is allow her to take responsibility for it. Even though as a mom, I just want to fix it for her. I want to take it away. But I can't. And she just has to deal with the day in and day out of having this condition. And she does it. It's almost become just part of our life. We don't talk about it much anymore because she's become responsible for it. There's a young gal that I know. She's one of a set of twins, but one twin has diabetes and the other doesn't. And I watched at a Christmas party the sweet gal that has diabetes choosing her treats very, very carefully, while her twin sister didn't have to think of that at all. And I just thought, what character that this 11-year-old girl has. And her parents have trained and instilled in her just to take responsibility for this giant in her life. We don't always want to run away. Well, we don't want to run away from our giants if they can be faced. We want to learn how to strengthen ourselves. And as parents, we can do that with our children. Give them the resources they need to be strong and face those giants. The next thing is, and this is probably the hardest for a parent to do, but it's to allow your children to struggle. And I will say this, we are not the first parent to watch our children struggle. Jesus cried out to his Father to take the cup from him before he had to go and sacrifice himself on the cross. And God didn't take his cup from him. He allowed that suffering. And that was for our benefit. The suffering that we allow, the struggles we allow in our own kids' life is for their benefit. It could be as simple as being bored and having to find something to do. Don't always be quick to throw a distraction at them, because it's, in that moment that they get to develop their character a little bit more. My girls have built like 2 or 3 zip lines in the backyard. They're not zip lines. Their cousins just got one and they wanted to be creative and try to do their own. And they have literally fallen on their rears over and over in this attempt. But what fortitude. They've had a lot of fun out there. It could be a consequence, a negative consequence to an action that our children took. I think it's really easy for us as parents to talk ourselves out of following through on consequences, or to talk ourselves out of allowing a consequence to play its course in our children's life. And I think those are important moments for our children. And as an adult, I face a lot of consequences for choices I make, and nobody steps in to rescue me. And, with our children, we want to make sure that they understand consequences to behavior and that they experience those. So I'm going to just finish off with a story about character building that I heard so long ago, and it's always stuck with me. And that is about a man who is visited by God, and God says, I want you to go out and I want you to push against this rock. And the man obeyed every day after day, year after year. This man got up early in the morning and he went outside his cabin and he pushed against a giant rock. And after several years, he got very dismayed and discouraged. And he went to God and said, I can't do it. I can't move the rock. I have been pushing day after day, year after year, and it hasn't budged at all. I can't move the rock. And God responded, you've done exactly what I've asked. You've been obedient. You've gotten up day after day, year after year, and you've pushed against this rock. I never told you to move it. But look at you. You're strong. Your legs and your arms, your back is strong. Your hands are calloused. You're ready for the work. that I've prepared you to do. And now I will move the rock. And I just love the idea that sometimes our character building is for a reason we don't understand. And when we take that away from our children, we might be taking or robbing a blessing from them that God intends to give them in the future. So as you're kind of cooped up in your home right now with your children, use every moment to help them build character. It is exhausting. I know from personal experience, it can be very tiring. The follow through is tiring. I have a way of folding towels that I have been using since I was a kid. Thanks, Mom. And I have passed that way of folding towels on to my children. But it took a very long time for them to learn how to fold towels. I guarantee it. My husband took about 9 years, but he's got it. But now we have the system and I can depend on the towels being folded properly. When we do that with character, when we follow through and ensure that the responses and the reactions are God honoring and right, you don't have to think much about it once they've got it. So that's the goal. So use this precious time that you have with your children to help build that character. And when we are under pressure, we get to smell the sweet aroma of good character. I hope you guys are doing great. I would encourage you, if you haven't gone back to other Chia's Tips at 3 and checked out other videos, there's some great resources. Go back, watch, and share those with your friends and family. And stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow.